Welcome, everyone. I'm so excited to tell you about this podcast. It's called The DK Project, but it's really The Darren Show. The DK Project is a radio show, but without the radio. So sit back, buckle up, and enjoy the ride.
Let's go!
Welcome back to the DK Project. Hey, everybody. Brand new podcast for you. We sat down with Mr. Jack O'Halloran, legendary movie actor, professional boxer, his family's ties to the mob with his dad, Albert Anastasia. He also talks a little bit about a project he's working on out in Las Vegas for the world's biggest studio to make movies and whatnot. So that was totally interesting. But we caught him out. He sounds like he was on his rocking chair just enjoying the day, and it was a great little conversation. This guy has a resume that doesn't stop. I mean, if I told you in one podcast I could cover the mob, professional boxing with Ali and George Foreman, screen actor like big-time movies such as Farewell, My Lovely, King Kong, oh yeah, Superman, and then he gets into his book, which he was at the Kennedy assassination. He knows what happened. So you guys do not want to miss this. You're going to want to go all the way through. The audio is a little rough because, like I said, he's sounds like he's maybe just chilling in the rocking chair and enjoying the day. So by all means, everybody, check this one out. This is a great show, and we'll have more coming for you. Rapid fire here. Got guests lined up. So enjoy the podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jack O'Halloran. All right, everybody. Welcome back to the DK Project. Special guest on the line today. We got Jack O'Halloran. How you doing, sir?
Doing the best I can, whatever I'll let me get away with.
Hey, now, I like that. What, just before we got on the air here, we were talking. You're in Redondo Beach. How about living the dream, man? It doesn't get any better than that.
Nice day out here.
Are you on the water?
About a block away.
Oh man, that is the ticket. I like it. I had you set up for about a week ago, and I had to reschedule. So I've just been excited to get you on the show. There's so much to talk about, man. Where do you like to start? I mean, the movies, the boxing, the mob. You've got everything. You got the full package. I love it. Well, and you got a book too, right?
Well, yeah, very, very well written book called Family Legacy.
Family Legacy. When did that come out?
About 9-10 years ago. We're just getting ready to republish a book in about 60 days.
Oh, nice.
Another book.
Well, we will get that pumped up. Are you? Is that an Amazon thing, or what are we talking there?
It'll be on Amazon, yeah.
Did you do an audio version?
We know that's what we're going to do this time. We didn't do it before, but we're going to do it now.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's a whole nother audience for you right there. So now Family Legacy, is this talking about your dad was affiliated with the big boys, right? I don't even know how you want to say that properly. Give us the story. Your dad, give me your dad's name again.
Albert Anastasia.
Albert Anastasia, and what? Give me the background. He's a first.
Albert was partners with Frank Costello and Charles Luciano, Lucky Luciano, and Meyer Lansky, and he ran a company called Murder Incorporated.
Your dad did.
Yeah.
Oh. That's awesome. So what, growing up, what did you know? What was your, what was your take on the whole thing? How come you're not invested in the family?
I was kept away from it until I was around 14, but I knew I was being schooled by somebody pretty much all my life, and not knowing exactly what for, but, paying very much attention to what I was doing. And they assassinated my father in 1957.
The family did?
One of the most, it was one of the most famous assassinations. He was the man they killed in the barber chair at the Sheraton Hotel.
Really?
And they did it because Albert wouldn't play in the drug business, and he controlled the docks of the country. And he just, when you see The Godfather, and they went to Brando, and Brando was approached, and he said, if we do it, it'll be the downfall of the families, and if I touch it, my children will touch it. And my father said that.
Really?
So then they came back and said it was the worst mistake they ever made because Albert was the glue that held them all together.
Interesting. How old were you when all this happened?
14.
Oh, so you knew what was going on. Were you ever afraid for your life?
No.
No. So you've got a boxing history. So were you always able to take care of yourself?
Yeah, I was taught at a very young age how to take care of myself, and I followed a lot of family traditions. And when I was 19, I was what they called a made individual. So I've lived under the code of omerta all my life.
Really? How does that go about being a youngster and getting made? Is that just because of your dad?
Well, my dad and some things that I did, and I spent some time in Sicily. And when I was down there, I went through a particular ceremony, and yeah.
So now what? Now that just goes away? I mean, that doesn't go away, does it? Once you're in, you're in.
No. Correct.
So do you have any involvement with it now? Do you still see any of those guys?
Well, I have a lot of associates. I have a lot of friends and a lot of associates, and it's something that to me is very beneficial.
Really? That's awesome. So once you were made, then did you do anything with that world, the crime family, or anything like that?
Well, we did a lot. Was involved in a lot of things with unions and gambling in Europe and stuff like that.
Yeah. Any
making sure things worked. And
really. So then you segue into boxing. How does that come about? Like you were a big time boxer. You had a shot at, you were just about to have a shot at the title is what I'm finding out. You got a lot of fights, man.
I signed 4 times with Ali, and I almost fought Frazier once. And
but you never fought Ali, right?
No, we were signed. We had agreements and everything, contracts, and he and I were very good friends. And he kept every time we came to a point of doing it, something would happen, and just the world of boxing, just the way it unfolded.
Yeah, is it? Well, you fought Foreman, and I'm not
George and I fought. I had beaten a couple world ranked fighters, and no one would fight me, and then they called me up one day and said, "Would you like to fight George Foreman?" And so I only trained about a week and a half for the fight, and
really
we fought in the Garden. And the first couple rounds of the fight, I was winning very easily, and it just I walked into a punch in the 5th round. It was my own fault, but I got up, but they stopped it very quickly.
Really?
So George would never fight me. George is a good friend. I like George a lot. A lot of respect for him.
Yeah. Do you still talk to him now? Like,
I haven't seen him for a while, but if we ever bump into each other, it would be like yesterday. Nice.
And you knew Ali outside of boxing, like buddy?
Ali and I were very good. When I was California heavyweight champion, he called me on the phone one day and he said, "You got to do me a favor." And I said, "Yeah, I'll do you a favor. Sign a contract to fight me." He said, "Oh, I will. You're fighting my brother Rockman next week, and you got to do me a favor and get him out of boxing because it's an embarrassment." And so I said, "Ali's your brother?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, I better go in the gym a couple of days." And I knocked him out in the 9th round in San Diego, and he never fought again.
Really?
So
what was that like getting ready for a fight? I mean, obviously that one you sound like maybe you put a little extra time in, but you've got a whole list of people that you fought. You won, a majority, and you lost a few. But like, what is a process of getting ready for a fight? That's so beyond my. Like, I have no idea how that works. But you
had I ever trained like Ali and went away to camp and done all that stuff, I don't think I'd ever lost a fight. I had a lot of ability, and I used to take fights on a week's notice and stuff.
Really?
Because it was a day job. And being involved in my father's business, you had to have a day job. Or if certain people who would have been alive or out on the street, I probably, no doubt, would have been champ of the world. But, it is what it is, and Ali and I were supposed to fight in San Diego, and Norton's people were very wealthy, and they went to Chicago with a bunch of money, and Norton got the Ali fight. He called me up, and he couldn't apologize enough. He said, I was just out of my hands, and we had signed contracts.
Really?
And we were supposed to fight once, and then I beat a guy, Alvin Blue Lewis, who was ranked number 2 in the world, and he had went 13 rounds with Ali in Ireland. Then he came home and he beat Ernie Terrell and another guy, and they were looking to get another title fight, and I ruined that because I beat him badly in Detroit. And I went to see him at his camp, and I said, let's get it on, man. And he looked at me and he said, if I really give you a shot at the title, he said, will you really try and beat me? And I said, I'll tell you what, for the first time in my career, I'll go away to camp and I'll train the same as you do. And when you come in the ring, bring a gun with you because you're going to need it.
Damn.
And he said, 2 steaks, please. We were sitting having dinner. He was a good person. I like Muhammad quite a bit. He was a tremendous athlete. No matter what sport he would have went into, he'd have been great.
Yeah.
He's just, and he was a different person when you talked to him one-on-one. He was very bright, very intelligent, and he could fight. He was a hell of a fighter.
Yeah. Do you think you could have taken him?
I think it would have been an interesting fight.
Yeah. Wow. Because you're a big guy. What are you, 6'5"?
6'6", and I weighed about 2. When I was really right, I weighed about 235, and I could move. I could move like Ali. I had a lot of hand speed and foot.
So was there any money in boxing back then, or was it just kind of more of a?
I mean, when I started boxing, we only got $10 a round.
Ooh.
When I first started, so you had to love the sport.
Oh man, I don't know. How do you love a sport like that? Just pounding on. Well, I guess if you're winning. Here's the question. I'm looking over your list of fights. Oh, go ahead.
I could fight. Some people can fight and some people can't.
Yeah.
I could take a fight on 2 days' notice and I'd go 10 rounds like I was standing on my head.
So were you always like in working out? Were you always training like?
I always ran.
Yeah.
I always ran. I didn't do the things. When I trained diligently, I beat people easily. I was one time they called me up to fight a kid named Terry Daniels in Houston, Texas. They were looking to make a Frazier fight, and he wanted a white guy to fight him. So Terry Daniels was ranked, I think, number 6 or 5 in the world. And if he got by me, it would have been a great fight for him to fight Joe Frazier in Houston, Texas. So I went down to Houston, and I remember Lou Viscusi, the promoter, and I got there, he said, my God, you're in great shape. And because I had been I had to stay indoors for a while. We had some problems with the union, indictments and things. So I trained. I was training very hard. And I went down and destroyed this kid in 3 rounds. And I flew back to Philly with Yank Durham, and he said to me, if you beat one more good fighter, he said, you can have the Frazier fight in Houston. I said, I'll tell you what, I'll do you one better. You name the place, the fighter, and the time, send me a ticket. He said, you kidding me? I said, I'm telling you. You name the fighter, name the place, and just send me a ticket. So about a month later, I fought Cleveland Williams, who was a ranked fighter, in Houston, which is his hometown, and I beat him 10 out of 10. And Terry Daniels got the Frazier fight, and Cleveland fought George Savallo on the same card, and no one would fight me.
That was what, in 71?
69.
Man. So I'm
No, 71. Yeah. That was in 71. You're right.
Yeah, I'm looking at
69. 1969, I beat a guy, Manuel Ramos, who was ranked 2 in the world, and they were looking to make a title fight with Ali. I had taken a fight in South Africa, Jimmy Rich.
Yeah.
And down there, and I was there a month, so I was in pretty good shape. I was off the street, and I actually beat Richards, but they called it a draw because it was his hometown. And so you know how bad I beat him if they called it a draw. And I came home, and 7 days later, I was in L.A. fighting Manuel Ramos.
Wow.
And I knocked him out in the 7th round, and George Parnassus wasn't too happy about that. And then no one would fight me again. So until the Foreman fight.
Well, you even had a short turn on the Foreman fight. That was January of 70, and you fought Ramos in October of 69. That's not a lot of time. Or is it? I don't know.
I used to fight once a month. It just depends. You know?
Yeah. Wow, that's so interesting. What about my question is like Bobby Lee Hines, Woody Goss, and there was the Jimmy Somerville. Like these guys, they just keep coming back, like and quickly. Like Bobby Lee Hines, you fought him in July of 67 and then August of 67, and Woody was November and then March. Like back to back. These guys want to get right back in the ring with you, huh?
Yeah, well, that's the promoter. They just promoted fights.
You fought Bobby Lee Hines 3 times and beat him every time. He just keeps coming back. I don't get it. And quickly, 4th round, 6th round. That's impressive for you. I don't know what the hell he was thinking. But then you fought Foreman 5 rounds. What happened there at the Garden? God, that's got to be monster.
My own fault. I walked into a punch.
Yeah.
And then they stopped the fight right away. Which I was really angry about because I got up, and then George would never fight me again. George and I are pretty good friends.
He knew what was up, huh? He knew how that one would have ended.
One time, George ranked all the hardest hits that he had in the top 10 hit guys that could hit the hardest.
Yeah,
I think I was number 4.
Really? Whew.
Yeah.
That's not bad because he's fought some guys, but Rahman Ali, that was Muhammad Ali's brother, and
Rockman, yeah.
Is that how it is? And then they never let you get in the ring with Ali. That's crazy. Well,
like I said, we were signed a few times, and then I was supposed to fight Frazier, and that didn't happen. So it was that's just the world of boxing. And, it was at a point where I really wasn't pushing. When I first started, I was like 16 or 17-0, and they discovered I had a disease called acromegaly, which is a tumor of the pituitary. And I wasn't supposed to be fighting at all. The doctors couldn't figure out how I even got up for a fight. They said, there's no way you should be able to even get in that ring.
Really?
And, of course, I told them all look up the disease acromegaly. It's kind of a rare disease, but it causes a lot of mental depression and stuff. And
yeah,
so anyway,
I'm going to pretend that I can spell that.
I just said to hell with it, and I just went on with what I was doing, and because it was a great day job, and there's like 20 or 25. I had 20 or 25 fights that aren't even on my record. Damn. I knocked out 22 guys, and we were doing smoker fights up in Maine, and every time I go see some fights, and they'd say, "Wow, you got your shoes and all?" And we were short a fight, and I said, "Yeah, but you can't." So I'd be boxing under other names.
Oh, wow. The good old days. So did you have like a manager, what's that guy's name that was with Tyson for so long?
In the beginning, I had a great management team. In the beginning, and then when they found out about the acromegaly, they told me I shouldn't box anymore, and I said, "The hell with that! I'm going to do it." And I was because of who I was and where I came from, I didn't really answer to anybody but maybe 1 or 2 people.
Yeah, acromegaly is a disorder that results from excess growth hormone.
Yeah.
After your growth plate's closed.
Your body pumps out your body would pump out 10% growth hormone. Mine was pumping out 150.
Oh.
So it saps your strength, and I grew to the height that I am because of that. And my bone structure is probably 45 pounds heavier than it should be. The density of my bones of my body.
Well, it's got to help when you're boxing, right? Because you're a little thicker, a little stronger. It says here that enlarged hands and feet.
Yeah.
Jaw and nose. Wow, that's crazy. So do you think that gave you an advantage in the ring or a disadvantage?
No, a disadvantage because it sapped your strength and made you was a mentally depressing deal.
Oh.
And they couldn't pick up the fight. And, I just said, because I like fighting and I'm pretty good at it. So.
And you retired in 74 with a record of 34, 21, and 2. You just had enough or what? Or you finally decided to jump into your other business,
They told me I had to stop. I mean, one of the last fights I had was a guy named Larry Middleton, who was number 2 in the world. And I went to Mass General because I was in California, and they said, either you get this tumor taken care of or we're taking your license away.
Ooh.
So I arranged to go to the Mass General Hospital, Raymond Shelberg, and he was the pioneer in what they call a cyclotron proton machine. And he zapped out the tumor, but I went into the hospital, had it done, and I checked myself out and drove down to Maryland and fought a 10-round fight with a ranked fighter.
Man.
I trained.
Just hardcore.
And I still had the scabs in my head. He had me bolted to a machine.
Wow. That's crazy.
That's what they told me. I could have died that day.
I'm just fascinated by the fact that that what is even possible once they figure this out that you could still get in the ring. It's such a dangerous sport to begin with.
Well,
what do you think of the new stuff? What do you think of this mixed martial arts stuff?
Sorry?
I said, what do you think of this new stuff, the mixed martial arts stuff and the cage and the,
I think it's a child's game. It's bullshit.
Yeah.
I don't think much of it.
Yeah, I don't like to see it. I don't like anything about it, especially like the women. I just think it's real, I don't know, it's a whole nother level. But boxing's kind of taking a step back.
I never watch it, so
yeah, it's a different sport at that point. So now that you've decided you're going to be done with boxing, you're moving into Hollyweird. First of all, how does somebody growing up in Iowa?
Hollywood had chased me from the time 1966 when I was boxing up in Boston. Steve McQueen did a movie called The Thomas Crown Affair. Sure. And I looked after him when he came to Boston. We looked after him to make sure he was okay. He and I became good friends, and he come down on the set. He said, I'll put you in the movie, and you got to come to Hollywood, man. We'll have a ball, and blah, blah, blah. And I just said, I don't think so. Ooh. Then in 1969, when I knocked out Ramos, some friends of mine from the East Coast thought I should get off the streets altogether, and they put together a deal with Fox. I was going to do The Great White Hope with James Earl Jones. Oh. And they brought me out to sign the contracts, and I said, I just knocked out the number 2 heavyweight in the world, and I'm looking to fight Ali, and you want me to go away for 6 months? And I went back and forth with the producer, and he said, I thought the deal was all done. You were just supposed to come and sign a contract. And I turned him down. Oh, wow. And James Earl Jones couldn't get that. So, and Steve McQueen called me on the phone. He said, are you crazy or what? So, hey, in 1974, I just went after the acromegaly operation. I just said, I think it's time to retire. And they came to me to do Farewell, My Lovely with Robert Mitchum. And I did a screen test, and Robert Mitchum said it's either him or I don't do the movie. So I blame it all on Robert Mitchum.
Wow. Those are big names you're throwing around there. How exciting. So with Steve McQueen, were you like maybe the tough guy in the group, like the entourage, and then he kind of wanted a part for you, or what?
Well, yeah.
How does that just happen?
I made sure that he was well taken care of when he came to Boston because of who I was. I had a few friends of mine that we looked after him to make sure he didn't have any problems or anything.
Sure. Wow.
Came good,
So how was that
Steve was a great guy. I like Steve quite a bit. In fact, he did a picture called Towering Inferno.
Oh, yeah.
And his name was Captain O'Halloran. And he called me on the phone. He said, "How you like your name up on the screen?"
How cool is that? That's funny. I was just going to look. What year did he die? It's been a while, hasn't it?
Yeah, Steve died about 10 years ago.
Oh, no, he died in 1980.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, that's about right. You lose track of time.
Time flies when you're having fun, man. Hey, so first of all, what's the first time you're on set for Farewell, My Lovely? And what do you how do you go from the ring to now I got to act? I do some voiceover stuff and that kind of thing, but to those are, you couldn't be farther apart from worlds of boxing to to acting. How did it go?
I had a great mentor, Robert Mitchum, and he explained a lot of things to me, and I just had a very natural talent for it, and the timing from sports was very helpful. You know? And I just, the movie business is a funny business. Either you have it or you don't.
Yeah.
Either the camera likes you or it doesn't. And I had a great presence, on the screen. So
and you played
all the things that I
Moose
did.
Malloy?
Moose Malloy, yeah.
What is it like when you watch that show now? Like when you watch that movie?
Have you ever seen it? It's a great movie.
No, I haven't. No,
you got to.
I got to check it out.
It's a great film.
I'm going to put it on the list.
It's a really good film.
Is it a Netflix thing?
You'll enjoy it. I think you can, yeah.
That's crazy. So then what is it? What is a friend of Steve McQueen walking onto the set? Is that real money? I mean, from the $10 per round boxing money, you're moving into acting now. That's bringing down the big bucks, right?
It's a lot different, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
So I did Farewell, and then I did King Kong. We worked about 9 months on King Kong, and then I did a picture called March or Die. We worked about several months on that, and I went from March or Die to Superman.
Yeah, and that was that was the big point, right? Is a Superman.
I liked every picture I ever did, but Superman was a great film. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's classic.
It's iconic. You became what you call in Hollywood a star.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're an iconic actor.
Yeah. Wow. That's that. Yeah. So then now you've made it. Are you in Hollywood? Did you move out to Hollywood or were you still in Boston?
No, I was I lived in Hollywood, and then I moved to Europe. I lived in Hollywood, and I lived in San Diego for a while, and so I was in California though. Very
cool. So now you've got a whole list of movies you've done here. Which was your favorite to do? Which was the most fun? You were the Yeti in Flintstones.
Farewell, My Lovely was I enjoyed it a lot, and like I said, I enjoyed every film I did, or I wouldn't have done them. And Superman was a great film to do. Great talented people.
Yeah, how was Christopher Reeves to work with?
Chris was a good kid. It was his first big movie.
Yeah.
But you had Marlon Brando, Margot Kidder, Terrence Stamp is a brilliant actor, English actor.
Yeah, there was a pile of them in there.
There was a lot of great people on that film, and same as when King Kong was a great cast with Jeffrey Bridges and Charlie Grodin, and just good people. Jessica Lange's first picture, and then I did. And even Farewell, My Lovely, it was Robert and Charlotte Rampling, Harry Dean Stanton, John Ireland. It was a great cast.
How was
Anthony Zerbe?
How was Mr. Bridges to work with?
Jeff was a super guy.
The dude.
Good person. Very good actor. Good guy.
Yeah. Have you done anything with him recently?
No. The only thing I did was King Kong.
Yeah. Yeah. Very.
Then I
cool.
did a picture called with Omar Sharif and Jimmy Coburn.
What was it?
And I got Omar called The Baltimore Bullet.
Oh, sure. Yeah. In 1980, Baltimore Bullet.
The picture with Chuck Norris called Hero in the Terror.
How was he?
Chuck was a good kid. Good guy.
Is he as awesome as everybody thinks he is?
Yeah, Chuck's a good fellow.
I
mean, I was very lucky in my career. You know, I did a lot of Gene Hackman and I did 2 pictures together. He was on March or Die. Then we did Superman. March or Die. We had Gene Hackman, Catherine Deneuve, Max von Sydow. It was an incredible cast.
Man. So you were quite the thing in the 80s, and well, you've done a little bit every 10 years. You've got a pile. So what have you been doing lately? What's Dragon Troll Chronicles?
We have I did favors for people. They're like small movies, but we're getting ready to make a mini series with Family Legacy.
Okay.
And then it's going to turn into a series. And I've got a picture called Ballad of a Simple Man that I'm going to do in Ireland that I wrote about 40 years ago. We're getting around to doing it. It's a great old classic. It was done in the 30s called The Informer with Victor McLaughlin and John Ford. It won 4 Oscars. So we did another adaptation of the book. And I've been up the bat to do it like 4 or 5 times. I just didn't like the mixture. So I kept putting it on the shelf. And I think we finally are going to get ready to do that before I kick out.
Wow.
And major studio in Nevada.
I'll say that again, in Nevada?
We're building the biggest studio in the history of the industry in Nevada.
Oh, really? For major motion pictures?
Yeah. We're building a 4 million square foot studio.
Whoa. What's that going to be called?
We'll be up for grabs for name value between, Netflix, Google, and all those people. So
wow.
Right now it's just Anastasia Media Group. But it will be when we do the naming rights.
What brought that on? Like how did you get into that?
It's something that we've been trying to put a studio together for the last 10, 12 years. And we almost did it in Long Beach back in 2008. And then the world fell apart financially.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I know, especially with this crazy time, man. You got to grab onto those when you can, because the COVID deal makes everything challenging.
You got to be kidding me. Try and get it, I'm doing it like an outpatient. I ripped some ligaments in my hand.
Yeah. And
they're fixing it on the 9th of June, but you got to go through unbelievable tests and all this stuff before you even go to an outpatient thing. I said, wow, man, this is.
Oh, for the virus?
Like Gestapo. Huh?
Oh, they're testing you for the virus?
Well, they test you for that. And then once they test, they'll test me 4 days before the operation. And when they test me, then I have to stay totally quarantined from everybody until I get operated on.
Oh, man. It's a different time. I guess I didn't even ask. I get so sick of talking about the quarantine. Have you been hunkered down? Are you,
well, you can't go anywhere. There's nowhere to go, but it bothers me because we were in the middle of putting the studio together and everything's on hold because everybody's frightened to do this or that. So you have to wait. Like Las Vegas is totally locked down.
Have you been there since it locked down?
No, you can't.
Or you can't even go.
They only opened it up. Yeah, they only opened it up a couple of weeks ago to even fly over there.
Wow. I think it would be fun to see just a ghost town. That, and man, I had a guy on the other day from Manhattan, and he's like, "There's tumbleweed. There's nothing
Broadway
going on." It's just
you look at Broadway,
everything.
Have
you ever done any Broadway? Have you ever done any live stuff?
No, they came to me one time to do a play, And I sort of kicked myself. I should have done it.
Yeah.
And I own a great play that I wanted to put on stage that I just not got around to it. I was too busy doing this and that. And,
So,
and I probably should have done stage. Mitchum told me to do it, and I just kept saying, but
yeah. Well, and then you turn around and it's like, where did all the time go? It's crazy. I could only imagine. You're a busy cat. I'm looking on your
head.
What's that?
Yeah. You shake your head. I've been in it. All of a sudden, you're in the business 40 years and don't even realize it.
Man, where does the time go? I'm looking at here. Did you turn Jaws down?
Yeah.
Oh, are you kicking yourself for that one, or are you still okay with that?
No, they came to me to do Jaws, and when I was doing, I just finished King Kong, and they were getting ready to do March or Die, and I'd already made an agreement to do March or Die.
Oh, okay.
Which I probably could have got out of it, and they came, they really hard. Cubby and his son came to my agent in L.A., and he said, we really want you to do this, bading, badang, and I said, well, I've committed to this other movie. And then while I was doing March or Die, they came to me to do Superman. So it worked out much better. Superman was a better deal, I thought. I really didn't like the script for Joel.
Yeah. Well, I suppose, you got to make those decisions, and you never know. Hindsight's always 20/20, right? I think Superman did okay. You may have picked the right one there. How does
Superman came out when I was doing March or Die, and Gene Hackman and I were flown up to London to meet Richard Donner for the Superman project, and I read the script and everything, and then I saw Donner, and he said, how do you feel about playing a mute guy? And I said, I actually embrace it. I said, because Jackie Gleason was a friend of mine. He did a picture called Gigo, and he won an Oscar for playing a deaf mute guy.
Yeah.
And if I ever get an opportunity to do that, I would jump at it. And Nam was a perfect character because you had Terrence Stamp was a vicious general.
Mm-hmm.
Sarah was a Mandy. So somebody had to relate to the kids because it was a kids movie.
Yeah.
So I took this brutish guy and I played him like a child. With child mannerisms. Got to work my eyes, and it worked out very well.
When I knew you were coming on, I went to dig up the old Superman to throw it on, and I don't know, something happened. I got sidetracked. I never did see it.
Yeah, everybody we were trying to keep all these projects together.
What when you say keep these projects together? So you're building a studio in Las Vegas. What are you on the day to day? Are you making big decisions, what's your role?
It's my studio, and
oh wow!
And I raised all the money, and I put all the planning together, and I've got a team of people that I put together, and it's like I said, we had the idea to build something in California a long time ago, and I got the same people involved with me now, and this is 4 times the size of what we were going to do in California, and it seems to be a better deal because it's a great tax deal in Nevada, and it's good for the state. And
whereabouts is it? Is it right in Las Vegas, right in by the Strip?
No, it's about 15 minutes north of Las Vegas in a place called Apex.
Oh, okay. So what's the...
We have a couple thousand acres.
What's that?
We have a couple thousand acres, so we're going to build not only a studio, but we're going to put a smart city right next to it, so we'll employ like 25,000 people, and they only have to go to work like 10 minutes,
Wow.
Rather than going 2 hours each way out here in California. Like if I'm going to do a picture at Warner Brothers tomorrow, it's like traveling 2 hours each way.
Yeah, for sure. Wow, that's awesome.
If you're a technician and you're only 10 minutes away from work in a brand new living establishment, it's takes a lot of burden off your head and makes it very cost effective.
For sure.
So people paying attention when they're on set make as many mistakes.
What?
So it's very cost effective.
When was the timeline? When was it supposed to be done before the COVID?
Well, we thought we were right as the COVID started. We were about to break ground.
Okay.
And so now we have to wait.
But you got everything ready to go.
Oh, yeah.
I got to imagine a water permit out there in the desert isn't easy to get, eh?
Well, it's amazing. You'd be amazed that Nevada has the biggest aqua system underneath the state than anywhere in America.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
They got a tremendous amount of water underneath the state, underneath the ground.
Wow. So what do you think once you do dig into the ground? What are you talking? A few years? Like how long does that take to put together? That's
probably 2 years. Yeah, about 2 years, because we're building it out of industrial hemp, which is a brand new material for building and much better, much faster, just a better deal all the way around.
How did you get into that? I'm not familiar with industrial hemp.
On top of technologies that are happening, and industrial hemp is a great
cutting
material
edge
for building.
Does that increase your cost significantly though?
Oh, it reduces it by 60%.
Wow, really? That's interesting. Industrial hemp. I'm going to check into that. That's pretty cool. I wasn't aware that was even possible. But so do you have?
It's like, I'll give you an example. I could build a 30-story building with not one drop of steel out of industrial hemp, and the temperature inside of that building will maintain 69 to 72 continually.
Really?
And I could build a 1,200 square foot home, 2-bedroom, 2-bath, with all inlaid tiles from industrial hemp, inlaid furniture. I can build that house completely done in 2 weeks for $20,000.
What? Come on. So explain to me.
Temperature in that house, and the temperature inside the house would never vary from 69 to 72.
Why is that?
Because the carbon factor, the air is cleaner.
Man, so they're making lumber out of it, and wow.
You don't make lumber out of it. You pour it just like concrete.
Oh, really?
Except you put forms down, you pour it just like you're pouring concrete, but the only difference is it sets within 2 days, and you're moving the frames. And if you're building in a wet area, it absorbs the moisture. You never have mildew or nothing. It's an incredible material.
Home run. How cool is that? So do you have films and stuff lined up for once the studio is done?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. That's cool. You had mentioned a couple of yours. Do you have some other outside projects that people have been talking to you about?
Every major, Warner Brothers, Fox, they all will come to Nevada, because we're going to do something that's never been done before. I'm going to put like 110 sound stages in that are what they call NC25 soundproof. Nobody in the world has that. Man. And it saves you so much in production.
Damn. Who's paying for all this shit? That's crazy.
We have a group that's putting up the money, and it's a good deal.
Yeah, it sounds amazing. I'm gonna have to check in with you down the road to see how that thing's going. That's a huge. I do a little building and renovating on this, on a side business. So I'm familiar with what's going on there. But to build 4 million square feet, that's crazy. That's a major undertaking. But
we will have every aspect of the industry will be under one roof for the very first time, and it should have been done 30 years ago. Wow. We will put everything from movies to television to streaming to music, and we will have sound stage that'll handle 4 or 5D, which means you got to have a depth stage. We will put a water body stage in. All these things should have been in Hollywood. Like we did Superman, we had to go over because of the 007 stage at Pinewood Studios.
Oh, wow.
It was a huge stage. They didn't have a stage big enough to do Superman here. So we did it over in London.
Monster, man. All right, now tell me a little bit about this family legacy book and the miniseries you're doing. Is this about your family and from the beginning?
Yeah, it's my father and his period of time and how things. In other words, people do mob movies because, listen, nobody has a crystal ball in Hollywood to tell you what's going to make money. But there are genres, and the genre of organized crime pictures have never lost any money on any film they've ever, even the. So, but everybody does this gangster stuff, and Hollywood takes liberties about Capone and other people. So we're going to do the real story of how, in the beginning, industry, government, organized crime, and unions were all partners. All the way up to the 60s. And a lot of money that was made illicitly was put back into the growth of the nation because their initial financial structure came from loan sharking, extortion, and gambling. So they took that. You had to work. If you're going to gamble and play with them, you got to have a job to pay them back. So they made sure everybody went to work. So they controlled most of the unions. They built businesses, Sears and Roebuck, insurance companies. They invested in General Electric. They put people to work.
Wow. You're gonna rock some feather or make some waves by doing that?
Yeah, who cares? We'll tell the truth. How things changed and why.
Yeah.
When you read Family Legacy goes from my father's death to Kennedy's death, and I tell the truth about the Kennedy assassination.
Wow. What you got some inside scoop on that?
I was there. Yeah, I know exactly what happened.
What do you mean you were there? What?
I was there.
You were in Dallas?
I was in Dealey. Yeah.
Well, give us the breakdown. Or is that for the book only?
Read the book.
Well, now I'm gonna. I love it. You were actually there? What were you doing there?
Meyer Lansky set up for me to go to. There was a party the night before his assassination at Clint Murchison Jr.'s house. It's called Egyptian Nights, and the host was Hoover, and there was a bunch of people, and there was just. A lot of people there that were involved in changes that were going to happen around the Kennedy assassination.
Wow.
So I was sent there to learn. I met John McCoy, who was a great banker. And Johnson was there. Nixon was there. There were 4 presidents.
Wow. So the book breaks it down. The mystery solved.
Yeah.
Oh, well, there you heard it.
Truth.
There you heard it, fans of the project. Family Legacy. And Jack, did you write this or did you have someone write it for you?
No, I wrote it.
Really?
Well, I had a ghostwriter. I talked, he wrote.
Yeah, very cool. Have you thought about doing another book?
It'll be out in 60 days.
Oh, what's that one going to be called?
Family Legacy Uncut.
Ooh, so is that a continuation or a little bit more in depth?
It's more elaborate than the original was, and it's then we've got another one. We got 4 books that are going to come out all together. And then we're interfacing with Lucky Luciano's son, and he's got his father's book, The Last Testament of Charles Luciano.
Okay.
Lucky Luciano and Lucky and my father were partners, so. We're going to tell a lot of truthful stories about how things were changed and how people were thrown under the bus.
Ooh. But I'm definitely going to check out that Family Legacy now, and not because I want to hear the Kennedy part too, man. That's just an added bonus, right?
Just go to familylegacythenovel.com, and it's right there on Amazon.
I will check it out, and I will steer listeners there so that you can get some more books flying off the shelf. I love the idea. Hey, we got to wrap this thing up, man. You are a joy to talk to. You've got stories to tell. I'm fascinated by the whole thing. You've seen it all and done it all officially. I still need to know how a cat from Council Bluffs, Iowa, gets involved with the mob, or is that not your correct starting point, or is that?
Where?
I don't know. Online,
I was born and raised in Philadelphia.
In Philadelphia, so it never been to Council Bluffs, Iowa. Maybe that's just
I boxed Ronnie Standard out there.
Oh, okay. And did you do a Comic-Con or something? Maybe that's what it was. Comic-Con was there.
I have, yeah.
That's cool. Do you do a lot of those Comic-Cons?
Not as many as you used to. Well, now you're not doing any of them, but
yeah,
you can't. I remember the first one I ever did. People come up to me and they said, "Oh my God, you can actually talk."
How fun is that? I
gotta look up Family Legacy. I mean, look up Farewell, My Lovely. You'll like the picture a lot. Great movie.
I'm going to do both. I've got your list written down here. I keep a notebook page on all my guests.
Baltimore Bullet's a very good movie.
Baltimore Bullets. All right, I'm on it. I got a whole Netflix weekend planned here already, and we're not even close to the weekend yet. So, but listen, man, we got to wrap this thing up. I am going to be checking in on you periodically, if that's all right with you, because we're going to need some updates on these books and what you're doing, and obviously this monstrosity you're building out in Nevada, because I'm very curious to see how that's going together. So, listen, Jack, where can people get a hold of you? Do you have a website, jackohalloran.com?
Hey, just Google me, or go to FamilyLegacyTheNovel.com.
Right on, man. Hey, thanks a lot for the time. And like I said, we'll check in with you somewhere down the road.
My pleasure. You be well.
All right. Thanks, Jack. You too, man. Be safe. Take care. That's it. That's the end.
That's a wrap.
Read the shtick.
That's a wrap for today's episode. Don't forget to subscribe and tell all your friends. If you'd like to reach out, you can use the studio line at 612-504-6500. or by email, thedkprojectpodcast@gmail.com. And of course, there's always social media at the DK Project Podcast. Thanks for tuning in.